across the river. It must be important.
Okay. Okay, we're going to go ahead and testing. Good afternoon, everyone. Giving thanks to God for continuing to show favor on the city of Cahokia Heights. Senator Durbin, before I start, I do want to thank your staff, especially Gregory Bells, for always returning my phone calls and also attending the meetings that we had in reference to fixing the sewer problems in the city of Cahokia Heights. I want to welcome Mayor Easton from the city of East St. Louis, Colonel Kevin Goldenhurst, the commander of the Army Corps of Engineers for the St. Louis District. Senator Durbin, I want to say that it is through your efforts that we are about to fix a sewer trunk line that has plagued the citizens of the old village of Cahokia for decades. Many times through the news media, the city of Centerville gathered a lot of the media attention on the north side of our new city of Cahokia Heights. However, citizens of the village of Cahokia have dealt with sewer issues as well. And what we're about to announce today is finally going to bring relief to those citizens of the former village of Cahokia. This sewer trunk line today will go from Moosehead and Jerome Lane south underneath the Union Pacific Railroad tracks, all the way to Highway 157 and Route 3. Then it will continue south onto Water Street to Levine. Senator, what we're doing today has taken over 50 years to get done. And it's through your efforts, through your leadership, that I am proud to say, with this nearly $6 million in federal funding, along with the $10 million that the city of Cahokia Heights received from the Illinois EPA, along with the ARPA funds that we received from the state of Illinois and the federal government. I am 60 years of age, and it has taken this long to fix a problem that have plagued the citizens of the former village of Cahokia, the former village of Allerton, and the former city of Centerville, which all makes up our new city of Cahokia Heights. And it's through the efforts of United States Senator Dick Durbin. It is through the effort of United States Senator Tammy Duckworth, through the effort of our Governor Pritzker, our local state representative, State Senator Christopher Belt, State Representative Greenwood, and State Representative Jay Hoffman. I am pleased to announce to our citizens of Cahokia Heights that we finally have the funding to fix our sewer and our water problem in our city of Cahokia Heights. Give a round of applause. Without further ado, I want to welcome United States Senator Dick Durbin. Thank you, sir.
Mayor Curtis McCall of Cahokia Heights, Mayor Robert Easton of East St. Louis, Colonel Goldenhurst of the Army Corps of Engineers, Alfred Sacedo, I don't know if he's arrived yet, but he's on his way from EPA Region 5, and Mary Vandeverd. Where are you, Mary? Thank you for being here as well, from Heartlands Conservancy. Well, this was a marriage made in heaven. How this son of East St. Louis married a young lady from Centerville, and one day we're able to come together in leadership to solve problems which have faced this community for a long, long time. The problem isn't just water, the problem is history. When you take a look at the way the American bottoms land is laid out, you realize it once was the bottom of the Mississippi River. So we are living, those of us from this area, we're living in a swimming pool. And when the water started coming in, it stayed in our pool and complicated our lives in so many different directions. I just had a meeting with some of the local residents, heartbreaking meeting, as they told the story of their homes being flooded and what's happened. A lady in East St. Louis who's on 72nd Street, and she was talking about her backyard. She's a wonderful young mother of 4. The oldest is 7 years old, and she can't let her kids go in the backyard anymore because of the sewage that is coming through there. I mean, think about that for a moment. In this day and age in the 21st century, that is a reality of life in an otherwise nice neighborhood that just has water problems, and they're happening in every direction. Well, politicians do a lot of talking, particularly around election time. This time we decided to get together and to do something, not just talk about it. The investment, I don't know how to add it all up, Mayor McCall, because it's a lot. It's over $50 million. Yes. Over $50 million that are going into the issues that face us here. Harding Ditch, that relates back to President Harding. That's 100 years ago. And that ditch has been a mess almost ever since. We've got to start digging this out and putting in new pump stations. And thank goodness the Colonel's here and knows how to do that. We're making sure the resources are there. When it comes to the sewer lines, I mean, it's incredible to think that we're still dealing with this sewer water and storm water mixing together and making such a mess for people all over this area. This is the largest investment in history in solving the problems of the American bottoms. Will it solve all the problems? No, it won't. There'll still be more, and we're going to be working on it until we get that part done. It means new trenches and new lift stations and new pumps and new configurations that are really recognizing the 21st century. But there's also a problem facing the families, and I want to be very candid about this, that as much as we've come up with and the millions of dollars to deal with this problem, we do not have resources at our disposal to help each and every one of these families, and many of them need help desperately. I'm going to continue to work on that. I'm hoping we can find a way to do it. I'm hoping that there are resources out there. Mayor Easton just went through in 9 inches of water. I'm sure it hit you just as hard over here. And we went down 69th Street, right off State Street. We met Mrs. Merriweather. She happens to live right next to Harding Ditch. And the water came barreling over that ditch and just ruined her home. It's the 3rd time it's happened to her. 3rd time. This poor lady, she's a survivor. She's a fighter. She has to be. But what a mess she has on her hands. So I could just go through today what we've seen, and I can tell you, these are real problems facing real people, and it's time their government showed them a real solution. So I think we're moving in the right direction. We've got more to do. As long as we do it together in a cooperative fashion, we can get this job done and make life better for the families in this area. It's now my honor to introduce the mayor of my hometown of East St. Louis, Illinois, Mayor Robert Easton.
Good afternoon. Protocol already being established. I want to say thank you to Curtis McCall for hosting. Thank you to Senator Dick Durbin for my time spent today. And thank you to the current Colonel for all that you do. In the last 3 weeks, we have been truly in a historic time. It's just not just a tragedy, but it's more importantly, it's been the teamwork and the partnerships. Again, I want to echo that. It's been the teamwork and the partnerships that we have developed in an effort to bring our communities back to where we were prior to the flood. We have seen organizations throughout the country converge right here in the city of Metro East in efforts to support our communities. We want to take a moment to acknowledge those community and public and private partnerships that provided together their resources and their expertise in this historic rain and subsequent flood. From the Red Cross activating a temporary shelter to the over 50 agencies and the multi-resource center service they service more than 500 families in the area that was connected to the flood, the resources that they so desperately needed. The American Red Cross, the IDNR, are now deployed in the city of East St. Louis for property assessments. I want to thank the local businesses like the Municipal Solution and the Christian Aid Ministries for helping homeowners remove water damage items from the basements, including drywall and destroyed appliances. To the Southern Baptist Disaster Relief for helping get our citizens back to the new norm. And to the Community Lifeline for consistently offering their connections to social service and becoming a pillar of strength in our community. Over the last 3 weeks, we have seen a systematic process that engaged on all levels to remove and recover and restore our communities. I want to send a special big thank you to Lowe's for their efforts on Friday, who have worked tirelessly by donating not only their products in the cleanup efforts, but they also have created a volunteer hours open their door for more than 20 Lowe's employees to volunteer their time to help our communities recover. I want to say thank you. It's time that the East St. Louis and the Cahokia Heights region typically can take more, let me rephrase that. I know that it's in the inside, the East St. Louis and Cahokia Heights can typically take on more water due to the developments of areas above the hill. We talked about this. It's time that our city and our region start to take on a systematic approach on looking at how this fresh water and this rainwater comes into our cities and contribute to this flooding that our residents are having. I believe that it's ahead of us and we can make this approach if we just stay together. I'd like to take a special shout out to MRCTI and their help with the Horseshoe Lake project. This project, those waters will be, that helped us pump out more than 250 to 270 gallons of rainwater. That's 750 Olympic pools through their resources and through the things that we're able to help through your office. Thank you. We couldn't did that, but we still need more. So together we're going to come together and we're going to push and we're going to urge for that systematic regional approach from the county level to help our cities. Call Senator Durbin and Senator Tammy Duckworth in her absence. We want to make sure that we have a regional approach because it's only through this regional approach that we can change the narrative of this water, this flooding in our cities, and the approach that we need to do. So I say thank you again for having me, Curtis. Thank you.
I mentioned Mary Vandervoort earlier, and Heartlands Conservancy has played an important role in this too. We thank you so much for that. But I want to introduce at this point Colonel Kevin Gollinghorst. He's Commander and District Engineer of the Army Corps of Engineers, St. Louis District. Colonel.
Well, that's a tough act to follow here. Thank you, Senator, and both the mayors. Incredible to be here with you, with your leadership here for the community. And what you are witnessing here is a multi-pronged effort to find solutions to water-related issues in this community. And while the Corps of Engineers may not be able to solve all the issues, let me tell you briefly what we can do and what we are doing in two major areas. And before I get into those two areas, one thing I'll mention as a district here in the region, we're maybe based out of St. Louis, Missouri. We support central and southern Missouri, but East St. Louis, Cahokia Heights, and the surrounding areas is so important for this area here in central and southern Illinois as well. Three things we talk about with the Corps of Engineers is we protect people from water. That's the goal, right? And we protect the water from people environmentally, and we make water useful. And so it's a tough balance to balance all of those three things. And so historically in this region, I would say there's been a lot of work done on the major river, Mississippi River, right? It's good to see Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative here with us as well. So there's all that work here on the levee to make sure that the major floods that occurred back in '93 and other subsequent flooding is that the community is protected from those large flood events. But I know here recently we've seen the interior flooding is still a challenge. And so I'll address these two areas and what we can do. Again, we can't do it all, but with other federal agencies, the state and the local partners, we really want to get after this. So the first area is wastewater infrastructure. And the Corps has an environmental infrastructure program that allows us to provide design and construction assistance to communities like yours to make improvements to the wastewater systems. And so last year's Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act got the ball rolling, and we were provided funding to complete a report that defines the scope of how we can assist. And this report specifically identified the rehabilitation of a section of sanitary trunk sewer that was mentioned, including cleaning, camera inspection, and installation of cured-in-place pipelining. That corrects the sanitary sewer deficiencies such as cracks and breaks and restores structural stability before it experiences failure. So that's, again, really the intent of that great legislation that was passed. The trunk sewer is a critical part of the sanitary sewer infrastructure. It carries all that wastewater from any flush toilet, any sink and bathtub that drains to the city to the Levin Drive pump station where it's pumped to the wastewater treatment plant in Sauget. So again, that wastewater infrastructure is so important for your community, and we're going to get after and do our part with other agencies. The second part is a larger flood hazard analysis. In addition to the wastewater aspect I just described, we have initiated a flood hazard analysis for a Canal 1 watershed. It's only a portion of the larger watersheds in this area, but this analysis should be complete within the next year, and it typically identifies several actions that can be done to reduce flood hazards in the study area. So we want to improve culverts, ditches, storm sewers, and pump station upgrades, and make those recommendations for the community. This analysis will be provided to the City of Cahokia Heights and East St. Louis once it's complete. And so from there, we can use the preliminary engineering and cost estimates contained in the report to put together grant applications to work with their elected officials to seek appropriations to make physical improvements. So as we saw here, within the last few weeks, Mother Nature will have her way. But there are actions we can take to minimize those effects and reduce future flood risk. Again, thank you, Senator, mayors, and other elected officials and other partners here today. And thank the community members. It's very touching and heart-wrenching to hear those personal effects. We want to work hard to push to make the community safer and healthier for the future. So thank you, Senator.
Did Mr. Saucedo make it here? Oh. Well, we all know that story on the east side, don't we?
You remember those days, don't you?
Oh, sure do. So we'll take any questions the press might have.
Just in general, terrible flooding we went through and some money is being spent to improve infrastructure. What can you say about sort of the scorecard? How many homes were hit? And then after all these improvements are made, how many homes will be protected from that sort of thing in the future?
I'm going to turn over to the men who know the answers to those questions.
Go first. Thank you.
I'll go.
You go first.
In the Cahokia Heights area, we have roughly probably over about 150 homes that receive some type of flooding. I'm sure that in East St. Louis, and he'll speak on the East St. Louis behalf, but let me just say this. The mayor and I was talking earlier in my office, and I was telling the mayor that it has taken 60 years to fix the sewer problem in these cities. And these cities once was the village of Allerton, the village of Cahokia, and the city of Centerville. And that if we don't address the storm water problem in our cities, what individual has to know is this. The water that came to the city of East St. Louis, or the flood storm water that came to the city of Cahokia Heights, was just not from Cahokia Heights or East St. Louis. It was storm water from Belleville, from Caseyville, from Edwardsville, from Glen Corbin, from Shiloh, from Fairview. As the United States Senator Durbin stated earlier, we live in a flood zone. 1,000 years ago, this was part of the banks of the Mississippi River. Where we're at today was part of the Mississippi River. I was telling the mayor that I can remember when I was a St. Clair County Sheriff Deputy, there was no mall at St. Clair County. There was no condos, there wasn't homes. They were once fields with soybeans, corn. Now there's homes, there's mall. That rainwater have nowhere to go. It was once being absorbed by those cornfields, soybeans, by gardens. Now it's hitting the pavement and it's coming downhill to the Mississippi River, and it's coming to the city of East St. Louis, and it's coming to the city of Cahokia Heights. This is just not a problem for Mayor Easton, nor is it just a problem for Mayor McCall. It is a problem for all of us. It's a problem for St. Clair County. It's a problem for the state of Illinois, and it's a problem for the federal government. And we must do as we did today for the city of Cahokia Heights, come together in a partnership to solve their problem.
Well, last question for me. Is this problem fixable, or should some of these 150 people whose homes were swamped make other plans?
Well, what I have found and what God has shown me, that all problems are fixable. At one time, people did not believe that we were able to fix a problem that lasted 60 years. But my God said otherwise. So yes, it's fixable. Now, Mayor Easton and I was talking earlier. There are some people that need to be bought out. We know that. Those are hard decisions. We have some residents that lives right on side, as the United States Senator Durbin said, of the Hardy Ditch. They need to be bought out, like they do in other areas of our nation. But those are hard decisions. I met with a lady that's 82 years of age. I know that she needs to be bought out. But she told me, Mayor, I buried my son. I raised my children in this home. I'm not leaving. What can we do to that? What can we say? But yes, to answer your question, there is a way to fix this problem. But it's going to take everyone, not just East St. Louis, or not just Cahokia Heights, but everyone.
That's a tough act to follow. But I underscore everything he just said. You know, it's speaking more specifically about the homes that was impacted in the city of East St. Louis. We serviced about 500 citizens at the mark that was the weekend before last. We had approximately about 150 to 200 homes that have been impacted from major to minor incidents. And I, too, we have a challenge in the city of East St. Louis. You know, but one of the things that I've said, and I've been a coined phrase, two things happen when you have a travesty or a calamity. It shows you two things, your strengths and your weaknesses. Well, the strengths is demonstrated behind us as we working together to come up with a problem, fix this problem that's common in our area. The weaknesses is obviously been displayed. So as we continue to work together, you know, from state, federal, and the city and local levels to come together to mitigate through these problems, I'm confident that we would come to an answer for these problems. It's not going to happen overnight. We understand that. This didn't occur overnight, you know, but I can assure you that Senator Durbin, Senator Tammy Duckworth, State Representative LaToya Greenwood, Senator Belt, State Representative Jay Hoffman, Chairman Mark Kern, Mayor McCall, and Mayor Easton do not want flooding and our citizens to be flooded out in their areas. So I can assure that we take this home with us every day, and we're going to come with a solution to this problem. Thank you.
Any other questions?
One unrelated, sorry, to this, but you have been talking about the need for more investigation with domestic terrorism, given these kind of enhanced online threats against the FBI and the DHS. Do you see if there's going to be more interest in some legislation?
I'm going to excuse the colonel. I think this may have gone from the official to the other side, and I certainly don't want to put you on the spot, sir. You're certainly welcome, but I think it's best. Yes, the FBI director advised me as chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee last year that the biggest threat to America's peace and security was domestic terrorism, homegrown terrorists. He came back before the committee 2 weeks ago and said exactly the same thing. It's for real. And when you look at the number of cases that have been opened and the concern that we have about retribution against the FBI, for example, in the last week, we've got to take this seriously. There are people who do not respect law enforcement as they should, and there are people who are taking the law in their own hands as they shouldn't. There is never an excuse for violence for political expression, never. I don't care if you're on the right, left, Republican, Democrat, or separate. No place for violence.
But given what's been happening over the past week or so, do you have more people answering your calls for meetings on that? Do you see us moving in that direction?
Yes, we're having more and more security. What happened in Cincinnati, where a man challenged the FBI headquarters, he was killed as a result of it. but he brought a gun and he was out to hurt somebody and didn't get that done. Now we're having more and more instances that are surfacing. A lot of this is driven by social media, and we're following it and monitoring it. But let me repeat, violence is never, ever acceptable. It is not the answer. And we need to show respect for law enforcement. And what we see coming through in many instances is politicization of this, even at the highest level. Any other questions?
This is for Mayor McCall. Is there an estimate of the timeline for the new sewer line project? And also, with all this new funding coming in, how will residents be involved in how it's spent?
Thank you for the question. The estimate time from the engineers could take anywhere from 3 to 5 years to be totally completed. However, I will assure you that we have started working on updating lift stations over a year ago. So we were using the resources that the city had through the consolidation effort. We were able to have more money put towards sewers. And so we have already repaired roughly about 10 lift stations. But with this type of funding now, we're able to complete the entire sewer system, which would take anywhere from 3 to 5 years. As far as community involvement, part of the EPA grant requires community involvement. And as the senator stated today, the heartfelt stories that he heard from citizens that have been dealing with raw sewage coming into their homes, into their backyard, clearly these citizens need to be a part of this. And I would assure you, as the mayor, that they will be a part of the team, letting the citizens know when the projects will be started, when will they end, so they will be there on day one as part of this process. Is there any other questions? Senator, last word from you?
Can I just follow up on the concern about the FBI? Valid point about, we don't want to tax against the FBI, but there were also some peaceful demonstrations in St. Louis in front of our local FBI where they raised the question about just the optics of the Department of Justice conducting a raid on the likely political opponent of the guy at the White House now. What would you say to people who have concerns about that?
People who want to express themselves, protected by our Constitution in terms of their speech and assembly, and do it in a nonviolent fashion, I will defend even when I disagree with them 100%. That is what America is all about and should be about, peaceful expression of your political views.
Would you also defend the search warrant being served at Mar-a-Lago? That's something that said as a Fourth Amendment question mark.
Well, let me tell you, there are 3 documents at issue here. The search warrant itself and an inventory of everything that was removed from Mar-a-Lago. It appears that those are going to be very public, completely public, as they should. It is within the power of the former president to make them public. He has copies of both of them. So that's the 3rd document is the one that's being discussed. Those are the affidavits and documentary evidence given to the court in pursuit of the search warrant. I think that that is ultimately going to be disclosed as well, and will give us an indication of why this happened and when it happened. So from my point of view, I've seen nothing to indicate that anything was done wrong by the FBI, but we need the complete record before us with the affidavits so that all Americans see what was behind that decision. Anything else? Thank you all very much. Thanks, Mayor.